Well, good morning. Thank you all for coming today. I'm going to turn it over to our city attorney in just a second, who's going to introduce everybody who's up here today. But we're here to announce a new pilot program to address one of the biggest challenges in our criminal justice system. And it's the revolving door of low-level offenders continuously cycling through the system. And these chronic offenders drain public resources and have been particularly resistant to attempts to provide them with the help to help turn their lives around. Some are addicted to drugs and alcohol. Some have issues and problems with mental illness. Many are homeless. They need our help. And because each individual can have a different story, we need to tailor treatment to best intervene and to help each particular person. This is where this new SMART pilot program comes in. This is by no means intended to be the only solution to the growing numbers of homeless on our streets, but it is one piece of the puzzle to helping folks get off the streets for good. It's another tool in the toolbox. And if it works like we think it will, we'll be able to set aside additional and significant resources to expand the program in the near future. I want to thank our City Attorney Jan Goldsmith and his office for all of the time, effort, and work that they put into developing this tool in collaboration with Police Chief Shelley Zimmerman and Sheriff Bill Gore. I also know this may be one of our City Attorney's last news conferences, and I just want to take this opportunity publicly to thank him again for the tremendous job that he has done over the last 8 years. I also want to thank our City Attorney-elect, Mara Elliott, for joining us as well today. I know Mara is a strong supporter of the SMART program and will play a huge role in making sure that it's a success. And so I'm going to, as I said, let our city attorney get into the specifics of the details and all of the partners that you see standing us behind who have made this, I think, very exciting. And as I said before, a pilot program that has the opportunity to make a huge difference in San Diego. By working together, we've been able to achieve this pilot program that we hope will serve as a model for us to take this citywide and, of course, for other cities in the region. Now, happy to turn it over to our City Attorney, Jan Goldsmith. Jan, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. By the way, you can attend the other 5 press conferences that I will be having in the next week. Oh, no, I'm only kidding. Many of you may recall Community Court, which is now known as Community Justice Initiative, CJI. This is an outgrowth of that program that was aimed at initial first-time offenders and has been very successful. It's successful because we're able to put together a team behind it. It's not just the city attorney or the city attorney's office. We have a broad spectrum of different interests who often have different views on how to deal with these problems. But we get together and we find common ground and put together a program that really is successful. Our partners are varied. I will tell you a big partner for all of us in the criminal justice system is the court. The court is not here today, but the judicial system and the judges have been very supportive, and they're the ones who are going to be a key participant. But with us, let me just begin with my successor, City Attorney-elect Mara Elliott. We have Rich Miller, Assistant Sheriff at the Sheriff's Office, Police Chief Shelley Zimmerman, and SDPD Captain Chuck Kay, Acting Chief of Neighborhood Policing, and Lieutenant Carol Beeson, who leads the Homeless Outreach Team. Robert Coleman, President and CEO of San Diego Second Chance Program, a key participant in this program and partner, as is Family Health Centers of San Diego, Timothy Frazier, the Director of Community and Government Relations, and Larry McGill, the Manager of Alcohol and Other Drug Services. From the Office of the Public Defender, Michael Ruiz, Supervising Attorney for the Central Misdemeanor Unit, our partner, strong partner in both Community Court and this program. And from the ACLU of California, Kellen Rusiniello, the Staff Attorney for Health and Drug Policies, and Rick Gentry, President and CEO of the San Diego Housing Commission, again a key element of this, as I'll be explaining in a second. From my office and Mara's office, Laura Easton, who heads the Neighborhood Prosecution and Collaborative Courts Unit, and John Hemmerling, the Assistant City Attorney over the Criminal Division. Let me just say, well, I've got a few more than just a few words because this requires some explanation. The purpose of this news conference is to announce that the SMART program aimed at addressing chronic misdemeanor offenders has finally gotten off the ground. We've announced this program before, but to put together the pieces, housing, treatment, the court's buy-in, all of our partners buying in has taken some time. And I particularly want to thank the mayor for coming up with the funding to get this moving with the housing element. Many of these chronic misdemeanor offenders are individuals with drug, alcohol, and/or mental health issues, and some of them you'll see living on the streets. These chronic offenders are well known by our police, our courts, and our prosecutors. In 10 years on the beach, I saw on the beach. I'm looking forward to a week from now. In 10 years on the bench, I saw many of them, and I understand it from that perspective. But the criminal justice system, which I also understand, is not equipped to deal with them. So they just keep on repeating their offenses and their conduct, and they don't get help, and we don't get help. SMART offers a different approach, an offer of meaningful help. Not just one night in a bed, but up to 2 years, as long as they are getting the needed treatment. Our part is to provide the consistency of a bed. Their part is to provide participation in treatment. And what that is meaningful. If they don't accept the help, however, this is still through the criminal justice system, and there still is a stick that none of us want to use, but they could likely end up in jail. By way of background, in 2013, I proposed initiation of a program aimed at giving much attention to low-level misdemeanor offenders. It was a two-step plan. The first step became community court. It was now known as Community Justice Initiative, CJI. CJI has just shown to be a success, and we have many of the same partners in addition to others in the CJI. We just passed 25,000 community service hours of these participants and 1,500 participants who have gone through the program successfully, many of whom were trained with job training, education. They went through with Urban Corps or Alpha Project through many different programs. They got out of the court system. They were helped. They participated. They did their job. Those who didn't did end up in custody. It's the same process, the same idea. When it's successful, the communities, victims if there are any, and the defendants are helped, and it also saves dollars. SMART is part 2 of that program. It is an expansion of CJI, or Community Court. It is a program for addressing people caught in the spiral of addiction, homelessness, and chronic criminal behavior. On the streets, this is the premise that living on the street is really not an option. We want to help them help themselves get off the street. We can do better, and this program will show it. I'd like to briefly explain the program we identified, how SMART addresses it, and why this program means so much in policy-wise. Since the passage of Prop 47, we've seen an increase in population of what we call chronic misdemeanants. These are individuals who cycle through our criminal justice system without really suffering consequences or being forced to face up to their problems and offered help to kick those problems and getting back to be successful and productive members of the community. Our police know, and courts, I'll tell you that, judges, I did, know these people well, as are the prosecutors know them well. They know them often by their first name. Typically, many live on the streets, but that's not the only focus of this program. With drug, alcohol, and/or mental health problems, they need help. All of them need intervention. And the most successful intervention is not punitive, not sending them to jail. programs in jail are challenging to get moving, and they don't have the funds to have the kind of programs that we have out in the real world. SMART gives them an opportunity to get their lives back on track. Through SMART, we will offer them a spot in a drug treatment program and a tailored housing placement for up to 2 years. Both their housing and their treatment will be overseen by case managers who give them individualized attention and keep them on a track to success. Individualized attention. Do you know, I love the probation department. I think probation department is terrific. But they haven't had the funds to act as probation officers for misdemeanants who really need that individualized attention. They focus on felons, and that's what they do. And that dates back many, many years to the time when I was on the bench, when I first got on the bench, back in 1998. It's been that way. So these folks don't get that kind of individualized attention. This program offers it, and it's critical to help them get back on their feet. Our target population is offenders with one or more offenses since Proposition 47 took effect in 2014, and who have been arrested twice in the previous 6 months for quality of life type offenses such as illegal lodging, trespassing, etc. As this program expands, the targets will expand. We're starting a little bit small. That's what we did with community court, so we can find some successes, and then we're going to expand. And eventually, as we show success, it'll be a much broader group. The best candidate, of course, candidates are the ones who want a better life. This is not about transitional housing. When I emphasize that, it's not just a warm bed on a cold night. This is about getting them into a program that can change their lifestyle as long as they participate. Help them help themselves. It is a program that demands accountability from the participants and has consequences, but does provide a path by which for them to get cleaned up, move on, become productive, and for those who are living on the streets, for them to get off the streets. Here's where our partners come in. SMART offers can be made in the field by the police department's homeless outreach and quality of life teams. So in other words, we don't need prosecutors, we don't need courts. Our police officers know these folks. They know the best candidates. They don't need to wait for the criminal justice system to kick in only to tell them what the officers know. Our most knowledgeable people in dealing with these problems tend to be the police officers, at least up front. Then kick in the treatment providers. But offers can also be made in court by our prosecutors or by the court itself in lieu of sentencing. You wonder why the judges will like it? The judges have something to do. I'll tell you, as a judge, I had these cases of chronic offenders pile up on my bench, and they would come in front of me. I didn't know what to do with them. And that's a common problem for judges. What do I do with this person? Person is crying out for need, for help. All I can do is put this person in jail? This gives the judges an additional tool and an option. And believe me, they will use it when they can. It can also be made after sentencing while the defendant is serving time in custody. Get them out of custody and into this program. We don't see custody as an answer. All that is the stick to get to the answer for those who are not willing to try. Housing is being provided by the San Diego Second Chance program with funding provided by the city under Mayor Faulkner's leadership and through a contract administered by the San Diego Housing Commission. Treatment is being provided by the Family Health Centers of San Diego under an existing contract with the county's Department of Health and Human Services. The Office of the Public Defenders and ACLU have been huge collaborators in this effort, providing input and helping shape its parameters, and they'll also obviously be in its implementation. As you can see, this is not a solution that my office could have pursued without the help of many partners, and we are grateful for the many contributions made by them. You may be aware, I don't know how this got into my statement, you may be aware that this is my final week as city attorney, and I take great pride in both SMART and the program that preceded it, that Outgrowth Community Justice. Yeah, I feel a little, quite a bit, attachment to this kind of program because I've seen where the criminal justice system has failed. Not due to any problem with probation or any participants, including the judges. We need something else. And what you see on the streets, what you see on people who are hurting from alcohol, drugs, and mental health, it's not being addressed, and they're continuing to engage in quality of life crimes is evidence of a failure in the system. And what we're trying to do is fill that hole with a program like this. And it means a lot to me, because I think it will work just like community court works. But again, all of our partners are extremely important. Prop 47 really has exacerbated the problem, making misdemeanors of many drug crimes that used to be felonies, reducing the possibility of a long time in custody, and with it the incentives to seek help. Let me add one point on that. As a judge, I ran a drug court for a year. That was before Prop 36, which changed drug court to a more adversarial program. But during the time that I did drug court, we had felonies hanging over the heads of participants who had drug addiction problems. That was the crutch they needed. And many of the participants in my program were successful, but they were kind of guided through, well, if I'm not successful, I'm going over there. And they knew it, I knew it, and the other participants knew it, that sometimes you just need that crutch. And when Prop 47 took away that crutch, drug courts really weren't the answer after that, and they've been having a lot of problems. In addition, these chronic offenders do consume a disproportionate share of our resources. They are a drain on our police, our courts, and our prosecutors. But they are all individuals. They're just not lumped into a group called chronic offenders. Every one of them has a separate story that's real. And when you talk with them, sometimes I could actually communicate with them in court. They say, yes, judge, yes, judge, yes, judge. And then they go back to the streets and they do what they want, and they either leave or whatever. But they all have individual situations that's not being addressed. But they take a lot of resources out of our system without the productivity of giving individual attention. So this is attempting to address that, and with all of our partners. SMART can give them that kind of individual attention, and hope to see the opportunity with this program. We start off as a pilot program, as the mayor pointed out. Pilot means that we're going to show that it can work, just like we showed that community court, CJI, can work. Once we showed that CJI could work, the concept began to spread around the country, and we got money. We got grant funds. We got the calls for, gee, would you like to participate in such and such program? The next step would go beyond the 10 beds, and to show that we can do it, we can get funding for 100 beds, 200 beds, and get people through these programs. But keep in mind, just giving people a bed for up to 2 years doesn't solve the problem. All we're doing is inviting them, hey, stay with us for a couple of years. Participating in the treatment and having the stick of potential, if they blow us off, they're going to face the criminal justice system and meaningfully have some jail time, possibly. That's part of the program. The treatment, the housing is the good part. That's where we could actually get to these people. And this is the kind of program that I think will be meaningfully enough, will make a dent in the problems we have. Not the end-all solution, as the mayor pointed out, but we'll make a dent, and we'll fill a hole that right now is in the criminal justice system. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Chief Zimmerman.
Thank you, City Attorney Goldsmith and Mayor Faulkner, and to everyone who is here. Thank you all. We're very proud to be part of this collaborative effort to help chronic offenders get off the street and get their life back on track. And I want to thank everyone for their partnership in creating this SMART program. We recognize, as the San Diego Police Department, we recognize the need for long-term care and support services that provide the alternative solutions to incarceration. You know, care and support that invests in long-term success of each of the chronic offenders' rehabilitation, and not, as you heard, not just for one night. No one agency or department can do this alone. You see a lot of partners that are up here, and it takes cooperation from everyone, from all sides, to make a social program like the SMART program initiative and this program thrive, and that's exactly what we intend to do. Now, this program, as you heard, it is going to help bridge the gap between the supportive care and services that are needed for the chronic offenders that are stuck in the revolving door of the criminal justice system. And we are confident, with all of us coming together, that this program is going to work. And we thank everybody for their time and effort in getting here today. Thank you.
From the ACLU, Kellen Rusinello.
Good morning, my name is Kellen Rusinello. I'm a staff attorney with the ACLU of San Diego and Imperial Counties. The ACLU applauds the leadership of San Diego City Attorney's Office, and we are glad to be partners in the SMART program. Although this pilot is small and adjustments will inevitably have to be made along the way, the vision and the potential ramifications of the SMART program are great. Our traditional criminal justice approach has been guided by a lock-'em-up mentality and has resulted in an ineffective revolving door of incarceration, all at tremendous human and financial cost. The SMART program is a recognition that we need to move in a new direction, one guided by more human-centered and practical approaches. As similar programs have shown across the country, we can expect the SMART program will reduce criminal justice contact, improve the health and well-being of those served, and save taxpayer money. We look forward to working with the SMART program, particularly around shaping the pretrial diversion component of this and to ensure the success and expansion of SMART. Thank you.
And City Attorney-elect Mar Elliott.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm very excited to see this program get underway before Jan leaves office. Years of work have gone into designing this strategy and bringing on board the agencies and organizations that will ensure its success. This is a proud moment for Jan and the deputies in our criminal division, particularly our neighborhood prosecution and collaborative courts unit. As an advocate for increased regional cooperation, I'm heartened by the collaborative spirit that brings so many agencies and organizations to this moment. Looking ahead, our office intends to expand this program with demand so that no one who wants a SMART bed will have to wait for one. Mayor Faulkner's office is helping us identify additional funding and housing to grow and expand SMART. And we are aggressively pursuing funds that are due to San Diego under Proposition 47. Working together, the city and county are seeking an initial SMART grant of $3 million over 3 years. These resources will be invested in mental health and drug treatment programs that will help addicts turn their lives around and make our neighborhoods safer. SMART is important because it helps these individuals in a thoughtful and holistic manner. It's also a model way for the type of regional collaboration we need in the future. I hope that SMART is just the beginning to our working together to solve problems that concern every one of us. Thanks again for being here.
We have virtually all of our partners here. If there's any questions, take them now. Otherwise, we'll be individually available.
Dan, can you talk about just how bad the situation has been over the last several years, the recidivism rate? You talk about this revolving door. Just how bad has it been?
I don't have the numbers with me as far as recidivism rate, but I can tell you that the files pile up. Mike, would you want to make some comments along those lines?
I can.
Okay. Mike Ruiz of the Public Defender's Office.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Michael Ruiz. I'm the supervising attorney for the Central Misdemeanor Unit here with the County of San Diego. When we started with the CJI program, for us, it was a godsend, to say the least. We've always been of the mindset that our clients should be treated as the individuals they are. Unfortunately, as we've all known, the system has been slow to respond to that. And this CJI combination with SMART is smart in and of itself. We're actually treating with the actual problems our clients are facing on a daily basis, as opposed to the one-size-fits-all mentality that does not work. There has been recidivism, unfortunately, because of Prop 47, dealing mostly with people who otherwise would have been locked up in prison, who we are now seeing as misdemeanants coming back and forth from court. And the reason that is because there are no real programs at the misdemeanor level that address these issues a lot of these clients have. And it's not just drug addiction. Unfortunately, there's a lot of mental health issues out there that tie in with that drug addiction, which when we're trying to get somebody to cooperate and listen and have them behave in a certain form aren't able to. It's the combination of both things. What SMART is doing is addressing those issues. So yes, the recidivism has gotten worse for those low-level, quality-of-life type of offenders, and this is really the smartest way to deal with it, and I congratulate everybody here for their efforts in doing so, because it's a long time coming. Thank you.
We get emails almost every week from neighbors, residents talking about the issues in their neighborhood. Home and car break-ins, people sleeping in the canyons, sleeping nearby, people wandering the streets, and we read about it on social media. Are these those people? Are the people who are committing those nuisance crimes these people that you're trying to help?
Well, it could be, and many of them are. And we get those calls, and I'm sure all of the agencies get calls from people, and we see it. And there's an element in our community to say, why don't you just round them up and put them all in jail for illegal lodging? Well, years before I took office, there was a federal court opinion that's an order that we can't do that, and that's not only San Diego but across the country. And then there's a lot of folks who say, well, just give them all a bed so that they're not sleeping in the canyon, and the resources just aren't there. This program puts together the idea that you have a bed with treatment meaningfully so that you continue to get them on their feet. But in the background there is the stick of potential custody. This is not, however, a program that will end homelessness. I believe the mayor made that point, and I agree. This is a program that will show the way on how to deal with those who are chronic misdemeanor offenders with alcohol, mental health, and or drug problems. It will affect, obviously, many who are now sleeping on the streets. You take the concepts of this program and you apply it broadly to all of those sleeping on the streets, and you might really make a lot of progress. But I think we have to demonstrate that first. I hope that answers your question, but this is not the end all. We can't promise that. I don't think anybody can. Yes?
But to the residents at home who feel that these issues continue and continue, they realize that it's taxing on our resources and police. This offers some hope to them.
It offers some hope on a different way of doing it. It's going to be an expensive way, but it's a way of dealing with the problem on an individualized basis. Society hasn't been very good at dealing with this otherwise, so we're trying to try something that's actually more substantive, more meaningful, and we've got the right people behind it.
You mentioned it was going to be expensive. How much might it cost? And also, I heard the mayor is chipping in some money, but you're also talking about pursuing Prop 47 money and some grants. How much is it going to cost, and where is the money coming from?
The mayor has found in our budget some money to kick it off for housing. The housing groups are in the business of providing housing, and if you want to speak a little bit on that, Rick Gentry, the other agencies are participating, but we're not paying them right now, and we probably will have to do that as it expands. Let me have Rick Gentry say a few words.
Rick Gentry with the San Diego Housing Commission. I think the issue we're talking about, homelessness, is not a cause but a result of a number of other factors. You combine three issues together and it's causing a severe issue here in San Diego. One of those, as has already been said, is the increase in mental health issues that we see on the streets, untreated at this point. Another is the rate of increase in additional affordable housing resources has generally not kept pace with the rate of increase in the population over the last 10 to 20 years. You add to that the third factor of housing affordability, which is the high cost of housing for everyone except the wealthy. and you've got a formula for problems on the street in San Diego. The high cost of housing generally, combined with the lack of resources, lack of increase in resources commensurate with the need over the past number of years, together with mental health issue, homelessness is the end result of that and other factors. And I think that what we need to see as responses and solutions to the problem fit generally two categories. One is funding, and another is the level of cooperation among participating governmental entities. Since homelessness strikes across a lot of departmental boundaries and indeed boundaries of units of government, this is the county as well as the city up here before you this morning, means that agencies that work together in siloed programs, or worked separate in siloed programs in the past, now need to learn how to work together better to solve problems that don't fit one easy categorical solution. The funding, though, which you mentioned, there is a need for additional resources to deal with the problem, and that's one I'm sure that everyone is aware of.
Just to confirm, did we hear correctly that it's $3 million for the first 3 years? And what was that for again? Was that for housing?
Let me just add that the $3 million would be, I believe it's a joint application of the county and the city. And those were funds that were promised under Prop 47 when that was passed, that they would be available to communities. They haven't been available up to this point. So the city is going after those funds in connection with the county. So I think we need to show a little bit of success in order to get those funds. Mayor, did you want to add something on the?
No, I would just echo. I think one of the overarching points that we've seen today. I think we haven't seen the collaboration this good between the city and the county and all of our folks who are really saying this is certainly a city issue, but it's a regional issue. And why we're investing the dollars that we're investing up front, because we think this is going to help, and it's going to help tremendously. And so as we apply for other funds that obviously the city and the region are due, as we look at city dollars, as we look at the work that the board has already jumped into this year on the issues of mental health, we're seeing more resources, and rightfully so, because we know we got to provide solutions and not just doing things the way that they've always been done. So as I told our city attorney's team from the very beginning on all of this, when we have a pilot that can work, and I'm confident that it can, it becomes a lot easier to get the dollars invested and to do what's best for folks.
And that's exactly what happened with Community Court CJI. We showed that it could work, and then we got funding, and it was a lot easier. Other questions?
Just a housekeeping matter, since it's a pilot program, do we say it's a 1-year program, 2-year pilot? What's the length of time before we address this again? See if it works.
I'm looking at Mara because she's going to be going for additional funding. As the funding continues, we will expand the program. I wouldn't call it a 1-year program at all.
Kind of open-ended.
It's open-ended. If we're able to show success, it will keep going, just the way Community Court did. If we're unable to find participants and it just bombs out, then we're not going to be able to get additional funding. I'm betting that we will be able to show, just like we did with Community Court. It's a similar concept. If there any other of our partners like to make a comment about the funding? No? Okay.
What's the selection process going to be like, as well as like the target number? I know you said 10 beds to maybe 100 beds. Are we starting off with about 10?
Starting off with 4, then 10, and then beyond that. The selection process of the participants, I'm going to ask John Hemmerling, the head of our criminal division, to make some comments along that.
The selection process is obviously based on individuals, and as Jan already explained, it's the type of crimes that they currently committed and/or they have a history of it. Every individual that gets chosen for this program will get screened through our office. A deputy city attorney who right now is assigned to the neighborhood prosecution unit in collaborative courts will be the ones that to watch and monitor every single one who's assigned to this program in the beginning.
Okay, and as we get more money, there will be more beds, guaranteed. Okay, that's what this program is going to be doing. They're going to be fighting for it. Mara Elliott's going to lead a charge from the City Attorney's Office and is really geared up, and we have a team. Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it. I'll see you 5 more times before I leave office. Kidding.